There are tons of perks in Dead by Daylight, so sometimes it can be really hard to figure out what's worth running. But in this video, I'm going to show off some of the best perks to run on Legion and some perks to avoid. One of the most common / best perks on Legion is Thanatophobia. This is a nurse teachable, and to gain this perk on Legion, you'll actually have to prestige nurse to P1. This is by spending 1 million blood points and getting her to fully prestige. Afterwards, every single character will gain these teachables that nurse has to offer. This perk activates when you injure, down, and hook survivors, giving them a 2% action penalty. This applies to repairing gens, saboing hooks, and cleansing totems. When all survivors are injured, you get an extra 12% penalty, meaning the debuff goes up to 20% total. This perk forces survivors to do the worst thing possible against Legion, which is heal. And if the survivors still decide not to heal, they're going to have to deal with doing 20 extra seconds repairing generators. 3 other great perks that go amazing with Legion are Bamboozle, Colorphobia, and Pop Goes the Weasel. The best part is all 3 of these perks are on Clown, meaning you only have to prestige 1 killer to get 3 amazing teachables for Legion. Bamboozle allows you to vault 15% faster and block off the window for 16 seconds after vaulting it. This perk also still works when you vault windows inside of your frenzy. Colorphobia makes it where survivors heal 50% slower when in your terror radius, and the skill check is much harder to hit during that time. This perk is definitely the weakest out of all of them, just because people don't often heal against Legion, so you'll have to bring proper perks to debuff the survivors for being injured to encourage them to heal. Finally, Pop Goes the Weasel is one of the most used perks in the game, and for good reason. After hooking a survivor, this perk activates for 45 seconds. During this time, you kick a gen, and it will instantly lose 25% of its current progress. As for some other perks, I made a really quick list to show off some more great perks on Legion, and some that are really bad. In S tier, we have Corrupt Intervention, Grim Embrace, Scorchhook Pain Resonance, and Deadlock. All 4 of these perks are the greatest slowdowns in the game currently. Corrupt Intervention is a play teachable that blocks off the 3 furthest gens for 120 seconds or until you down a survivor. This is a guaranteed way to make survivors completely unable to gen rush you at the start of the game and make them have to come closer to you at the same time. Grim Embrace and Scorchhook Pain Resonance are artist teachables. Grim Embrace locks gens off for 12 seconds every time you hook a unique survivor for their first time. And when all survivors have been hooked at least once, they'll all be locked for 40 seconds and show the Obsession's aura to you. This is a guaranteed way to buy 76 extra seconds in the trial. Scorchhook Pain Resonance spawns 4 white hooks, and this perk activates once a survivor is hooked on one of them. Afterwards, the most progress gen instantly loses 20% of its total progress. I definitely recommend upgrading Artist to Prestige 1 as soon as you possibly can. Deadlock is a pinhead teachable, and this perk activates every time a gen pops. Afterwards, the most progress gen gets locked off for 25 seconds. This is just a free way to buy extra time in the game since you really don't have to do anything. A tier, we have Surge, Barbecue and Chili, I'm All Ears, Coup de Grace, and Play with Your Food. Surge is a Demogorgon teachable, and this perk activates once downing a survivor with a basic attack. Afterwards, all gens within 32 meters of you instantly pop and lose 8% total progress. Barbecue and Chili is a Leatherface teachable, and this perk activates once hooking a survivor. Afterwards, all survivors 40 meters away from you have their aura revealed for 5 seconds. I'm All Ears is a Ghostface teachable. This perk activates anytime a survivor does a rushed action within 48 meters of your location. Afterwards, you'll see their aura for 6 seconds. This makes mind gaming survivors much easier when looping them at structures. Coup de Grace is a Twins teachable, and this perk gives you 2 tokens every time a gen pops. With these tokens, you get an 80% extra lunge to your swing, almost always resulting in a free down. This is because with Legion, injuring survivors in the game is super easy, so having them injured means you just have to get 1 nice hit on them. Play with Your Food is a Michael Myers teachable, and this gives you a token every time you leave chase with the Obsession. You can gain up to 3 tokens, and each token gives you an extra 5% haste, meaning if you get all 3 tokens, you're 15% faster. It also allows you to chain hit in your frenzy much easier. B tier is Dissolution, Hex Ruin, Surveillance, and Superior Anatomy. Dissolution is a Dredge teachable, and this perk activates after injuring a survivor. This perk will then stay active for 20 seconds, and if a survivor bolts a pallet during this time, it instantly breaks. This is super useful in Legion because injuring survivors with your power is super easy to do. Hex Ruin is a Hag teachable, and this perk activates at the start of a trial. A random totem becomes lit and causes gens not being worked on to instantly degress. This saves you a bunch of time from having to kick gens after chasing survivors off of them. Surveillance is a pig teachable that shows degressing gens, so it's perfect when comboed with Hex Ruin, Surge, and Pain Res. Fear Anatomy is a mastermind teachable. This perk activates when a survivor fast vaults near you, giving your next vault a 40% speed increase. This usually results in a free hit, especially when mind gamed properly. C tier is Monitor and Abuse, Hex Ruin, and Hysteria. All 3 of these perks have the same weakness. Your Frenzy can't get value if the survivors cannot hear your terror radius. So Monitor and Abuse makes your terror radius lower by 8 meters when outside of a chase, but it increases it by 8 meters in a chase. After hitting a survivor and running away, you're going to instantly lose chase, causing you to have 8 meters less of your killer instinct. Hex Plaything is a pinhead teachable, and this perk activates once hooking a survivor. Afterwards, the survivor becomes oblivious, making your killer instinct useless. Hysteria is a nemesis teachable, and this perk activates after injuring a survivor. Afterwards, all survivors who are also injured become completely oblivious during that time as well. So a plus side is you can sneak up on survivors easier, but a downside is you lose the ability to use your frenzy properly. Personally, I think the cons that come with this far outweigh the pros. And D tier perks that I think are just all around useless are Whisperers, Beast of Prey, and Starstruck. Whisperers shows that the survivor's within 32 meters of you, but that doesn't really mean that you know where they're at all, so you can end up just wasting a bunch of time looking for them. Beast of Prey is a Huntress teachable, and this makes it where you go undetectable after getting Bloodlust. Bloodlust is a mechanic in the game that gives killers extra haste for being in a chase with a survivor long enough. This can go up to tier 3, which gives you a total of 15% extra haste if you're in the chase long enough. But this perk's basically useless because you're only undetectable while in chase with that survivor, so it doesn't really do anything. And Starstruck is a Trickster teachable, and this perk activates once carrying a survivor. During this time, anyone that goes in your terror radius gets exposed for 30 seconds. This sounds useful, and for some killers it is. But with Legion, all survivors are constantly injured anyway, so there really is no reason bringing a one-shot perk if they're already one-shot. That's gonna do it for this video. All this footage came directly from my guide on Legion, so if you guys haven't checked it out, I highly recommend giving it a watch if you would like to improve on Legion. But that's gonna do it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. If you're not already, consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys in the next one. See you.